Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. It is December 6th, 2025. This is my son Nicholas's name day because it's the feast day of the commemoration of Saint Nicholas of Myra. Or is that Myra? How do you say it? And yeah, that's his day today, Saint Nicholas Day. So, I'm going to be talking about monasticism, specifically monks today, or this evening for me. And so we're going to start with an article that I just saw that I thought was quite interesting. And then we'll go from there. I have a few videos and things like that to share with you. So this happened on December 5th. This came out December 5th. Hilandar Abbot meets with dozens of young men exploring monastic life at Montana Monastery. I didn't even know there was a monastery in Montana. It says Holy Trinity. It's in Butte, Montana. Awesome. Archimandrite Metoji, abbot of the Serbian Hilandar Monastery on Mount Athos, visited St. Peter's Monastery in Montana from October 22nd to 24th, where he met with 50 young men seriously interested in pursuing monastic life. 50! That is quite a lot, really. Let's see. St. Peter's Monastery is located on a 1,000-acre ranch, approximately 3 miles east of Harrison, a town of 187 residents. Just 187 residents, and 50 of them are interested in becoming monks. That's pretty impressive. The young men who traveled... Oh, so they're all over the place. Never mind. I'm just reading this for the first time. The young men who traveled from as far as Canada and Arizona listened to the abbot's homily and participated in a 2-hour question and answer session with both Father Metoji, and Abbot Ephraim of St. Peter's. The event had been announced as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to speak directly with an abbot from Mount Athos, inheritor of over 1,000 years of spiritual and monastic wisdom, for men seriously interested in monastic life and possibly joining the brotherhood at St. Peter's Monastery. Abbot Ephraim, who arrived at the monastery in 2025, was a spiritual child of Elder Ephraim of Philatheu and Arizona, and one of the founding fathers of St. Anthony's Monastery in Arizona. Awesome. St. Peter's Monastery is situated on property initially considered as a potential skeet of St. John's Monastery in Manton, California. Architect Mark Headley designed an Athonite-style monastery for the site, but a decline in the population at St. John Monastery prevented the project from moving forward. In 2022, Archbishop Benjamin blessed the owners to offer the property to other jurisdictions. The property features a square log dacha and boathouse, octagonal 2-story barn, and Palladian villa. Located 2 miles off the grid, the ranch generates electricity from a wind turbine and solar array. Philosophy River, named by Lewis and Clark in 1805, flows for 1 mile through the property. That is awesome. What a great location. The life estate arrangement requires that the monastery be English-speaking and pan-Orthodox, open to all Orthodox Christian monastics and guests. Establishing the monastery will require approximately $5 to $6 million to build infrastructure and the main residence for 12 to 18 monastics. The footings and ground floor stone and reinforced concrete walls are already in place, and the entrance tower is under construction. Awesome. Contributions you can make to St. Peter's Monastery Foundation are tax exempt and can be made by check by St. Peter's Monastery Foundation, P.O. Box 141, Harrison, Montana 59735. I can go ahead and put that in the description under this video if you're interested in donating to that project. Very nice to see so many young men that are interested in following the monastic way of life, which is not easy. And I think we're going to go over that a little bit so that people understand about that. I know it's a calling, so that means that God is calling you to do this, and it's not one that you're doing this out of your own will. Okay, so it's God's will. And I'm going to share just a little short video here from Father Seraphim. He's the abbot of a monastery in Scotland, but I think he's from Romania. I just thought this was kind of interesting, what he had to say about, he suffers from, apparently from anxiety and issues, but he gives more of like a realistic view of what can be struggles, and what he's concerned about, that one should not be a monastic, should not become a monk for particular reasons, as he will say here. But just to give you an idea on what he's talking about.
In the 4th century by the fathers in Egypt. And their approach was, everybody's welcome. Those who can stay, may God bless you. Because the environment itself will make the selection and the criterion. It's not up to me. Of course, if I discern, for instance, something that I would never allow is someone with a mental problem. Not because I have something against people who have mental problems, but because monastic life is not for someone like that. It is extremely trying, even for someone who is, completely functioning. It can be extremely trying. It's not, again, that romantic vision of a monk or a nun living in complete peace and quiet. It's not real. For me, monasticism has been
Okay, yeah, and he defined it through the monastic fathers, and there's mothers as well, but in Egypt, in the desert, their passions follow them to the desert. They have to work through that. But he's talking about mental issues. It's bad enough when you're struggling with them in the world, as a lay person, but to go into the monastic life, which is very difficult and takes a lot of, it's very trying, as he said. So I'm just putting that in there. Now I'm going to share Father John Betancourt. This is the first time I've seen him on video, which is so interesting because I know his son, Father Daniel, he serves down in St. Nicholas Orthodox Church down in Shreveport, Louisiana, where my mother was, she was living across the river from that. But in any case, let's see what he has to say to this question that this person is asking him.
What is life like at the monastery? What do people see there? What can people expect from a monastery? What's the life like there for a monk that's living there?
Okay, a great question on what is it like to live at a monastery. And I can at least speak about this to some degree, even though I'm not a monk, because I've spent hundreds of hours, really hundreds of days and weeks over the last 30 years visiting monasteries. And so I can say what I experience when I go there is I experience the ascetical life, because often there'll be fasting and there are times of the year where it's a very strict fast and there's lots of prostrations and prayer services and so forth. They get up, they're praying every day at 4 a.m. for the whole world. And so that means when I go for a 4 a.m. service, I get up usually around 3 a.m. Now, if I'm also serving there, if I've been asked to be the protos, the priest that is serving for the liturgy, I need to go an hour earlier, so I get up at 2 in order to do the what's called the proscomedia service, the service of preparation of the gifts that comes before the service begins. It takes about an hour or so. So you're fasting a little bit from sleep and maybe from certain foods. So there's this form of fasting, there's a form of prayer, and we could say also that the three things that Jesus said are the very medicines that we need for our souls. He doesn't say if you fast or if you pray or if you give alms, but when you do, when you fast, when you pray, when you give alms. Well, all of these things we do when we come to a monastery. We bring gifts for them to support, we pray with them, and often we fast in various ways. From sleep, keeping vigil, for example, So every day their services in general are Vespers at night around 5 o'clock. And the Vesper service, the evening service, of course, is the beginning of the new day. We always go from darkness into light. And so the services begin for the new day that evening. Then we sleep a little bit, and then we get up in the middle of the night, because it's in the middle of the night that this border between heaven and earth gets very thin indeed. And we can enter in a new realm. And so the midnight hours of prayer, the vigils, the long hours of standing in prayer in the darkness, and then moving into, by the time we do the divine liturgy, it's starting to get light out and so forth. And
beautiful.
it's a way of understanding cosmologically the whole nature of night and day, from darkness into light. And then they go about their work during the day. How they do that, how they sustain that is a miracle. And it's based on the amount of prayer that they have, because they work all day long. And if you're visiting a monastery, well, maybe the first day or 2 or 3, you're just there, rest, pray, take walks. But if you're going to stay longer, then help during the day, chop wood, work in the kitchen, dig trenches for, I don't know, be out in their fields, their gardens, and do those things that help sustain the day. But for the monks, their work is also just another way to pray. So when they're working in their garden, they're praying. They're praying the Jesus prayer. It may be just in their hearts, or you may actually hear them sometimes out loud, chanting or just praying softly. But work, they see work in a way that the world does not understand work, as an honor and gift, as a form and a vehicle through which we can continue prayer. So work for monks is another form of prayer. And so their whole life is about prayer. And then at the meals, oftentimes if you're at their meal, you just sit in silence, and one person would read spiritually uplifting literature of the fathers, of the saints. And so you're eating physical food, but you're also really eating of the spiritual food. I don't know how it's so, but, well, I do know how it's so. The food at the monastery is the best I've ever had. I've eaten the finest cuisine all over the world, but the food of a monastery is infused with love and prayer. And it always, even during the fasting times where we're just eating beans and rice and salad or whatever, it's the kingdom of heaven.
Oh, man.
It's the banquet feast of the Lord. It is so rich and life-giving. Now, of course, we've first partaken of the holy gifts of the mysteries of his body and blood, and that's our life. And the food then participates in that great feast. So even during fasting periods where the food is more sparse or simplified, you still often feel, I come from the table still feeling like, that was so good. How can that be? Well, it's because it's the kingdom of heaven. And that's how the kingdom of heaven tastes. And
wow, that's how the kingdom of heaven tastes. That is amazing.
that's what it's like to eat at the table in the Lord's house.
Wow, his descriptions are just glorious, beautiful. They consider the work, the monks consider their work to be honor and a gift from God, It's a form and a vehicle to pray. It's another form of prayer. The banquet of the Lord is the food there, and as he said, it's just simple food, but I mean, it's made with love. It's made with prayers, and he's saying it's kingdom of God. That's what this food would taste like, which to me makes a lot of sense. Beautifully said. Now, I know the comments about Father John Betancourt, he's very gentle and kind and a beautiful man, and that's exactly how his son is. So, I have one other thing to show you. I'm just going to show you a small clip, but it is an amazing documentary if you haven't seen it, but I'm going to share it with you. It's called Athos. It's really good. I watched it probably about a month ago. I just happened to start watching it, and it just sucked me right in. I watched the whole thing. It was very edifying. It was very calming. It was like a solace. But as you said, there's things they have to do. They work all the time, and they fast, and that concludes not only fasting from food, but fasting from sleep. So amazing. So I'm going to share this little portion about this particular monk I thought was really neat. St. Demetrius Hermitage, Father Galactium.
Τώρα εδώ είμαι περίπου 5 χρόνια, 6 χρόνια. Και άλλα τόσο ήμουν στο Σύνοδο. Όπου και να είναι ο άνθρωπος, ο Θεός είναι παντού. Αλλά το Άγιος παραμένει μια πολιτεία μοναχών, μια πολιτεία προσευχής.
We have experienced fathers here who can help you along spiritually. That's why I came to the Holy Mountain. Wow. When I arrived here from Sinai, I was given this hermitage. It was in a bad state of repair, but you could live in here. At least the roof held up. After 1 year, I knew that I liked it here. You have to carry on a craft in order to make your living. Some monks produce incense, some paint icons, some work with wood. I learned this little handicraft. And I live from it. It's also a way of passing the time. You can't pray all day. Well, yeah, you're supposed to. Or read. You have to do something. But what he means is prayer in church, I'm guessing, or in his cell. On the Holy Mountain, there are 3 kinds of monks. Oh, look at the kitty. Some live in a community or do everything together. The meals, the liturgy. Many monks live like that. Then there are smaller communities with 5 or only 2 fathers. And then there are those who live alone, like me. Okay. Then they go into the St. Nicholas Hermitage. This, I just wanted to give you a taste of this because, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's absolutely amazing. Again, it's called Athos, Mount Athos Monks Republic Documentary. I will put the link in the description for you. Beautiful information, beautiful videos on this. Father Betancourt and the Mount Athos documentary, Father Seraphim sharing his thoughts on if one has mental problems, you know, to advice on that. And, you know, we have 50 of these men that came together in that one area in Montana because they have this this desire to, you know, start their life in as a monk and in monasticism. And I just wanted to show you what the little piece that maybe could help you out if you haven't seen or haven't inquired too much into it. I mean, some people don't know, so it's always good to share these kind of this kind of information, I think, for anybody who's interested. And as I said, I'll leave you the link for that documentary, and then of course for the monastery, for the building, helping to donate to that monastery. I think in Montana. Yeah. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for following my channel. Also, click that bell, the notification bell, if you haven't already, under my videos, so that you can see when my videos, you'll be notified when they come up. Thanks again. God bless.